Hey, folks. What's up, Rescue Boss? We got Publis, Rescue Boss, Grumpy, and should be another one around here. Jimmy. Hey, what's up, Jimmy? How y'all doing? Hey, Red. Yeah, I was thinking about maybe going over a little bit of what Prepper X and they're talking about in their chat. Just a little bit that I know of. And Publis hit on one is fencing. It all Never tried that, but I will tell you this: if it's electrified wire, we used to have horses, and we used to run. We had 4 inch, let me see, 4 inch webbing fence, like wire webbing fence going the whole way around our pasture. But we ran one strand of electric current around the top of it. I will say this: if it's an electrified fence, I don't, I don't, I don't care if it's barbed wire or if it's regular wire. It all hurts just the same, and your eyes will keep going. Eat at Joe's, eat at Joe's, eat at Joe's, eat at Joe's. Hey, Jimmy. Actually, I think that's what they call a slider here, or a painted slider. Um, that's one thing. For my live chats, all the pictures you're going to be seeing from now on, I think for about actually the last several, but from now on, it's all going to be pictures that I've taken through my photography. I have about 7 years of photography to. I have about 7 years of photography to pull off of. I'm like, you know what? I can recycle these things again. Ah. Actually, you're absolutely right, Jimmy. But the reason why they started putting fences up is to keep the cattle rustlers out. Basically, and it's nothing for a cattle rustler to come and cut a fence and run the cattle back through it, but it slows them down and keeps the honest crooks honest. Oh, no problem, Pubs. Then they kept herds from mixing with each other. But the one thing I was going to say about fence is the one thing you can never go wrong with is what they call a cattle fencer. That is what electrifies the wire. Um, you just don't hook up the fuse box, run a wire to the fuse box, and run it to the electric fence and hope for the best. That's also a good way to burn your half your property down. But what the cattle fencer does is it puts an alternating current through that wire. Hey, Gibson. It puts a current through that wire that's alternating. So it's like on, off, on, off, on, off. Like if you plug in a cattle fencer, oh, let's not go that far, RB. No. If people actually wear something I designed, I call them blind. Very, very blind. But back to what I was saying, if you listen to the cattle fence when you plug it in, it buzzes, and what that buzz is like every time it's a really quick, um, it's like a really quick on-off switch type of thing. It like electrifies, takes electric away, electrifies, but it does that in rapid succession because if it was just like all the time, you'd cook something. So, but a cattle fencer, especially for a homesteader, hey Christy, in good times, and if you just happen to be able to get power after SHTF hits, A cattle fencer is a very good thing to have. Everybody's talking about electrifying a fence. That is how you electrify a fence the right way. Hey, Mary Beth. Actually, Jimmy, it's very interesting. You should say that. Jimmy says, I want the wall built on our southern border. I can't understand why people can't see how important that is. Put electricity on a joker. I don't care. Hey, Timo. Yes, they do, Cindy. They are very effective. But back to what Jimmy said. I actually want to up you on that. Build the wall, build the fence, put electricity to that thing, then put cameras the whole 2,000 miles, put cameras the whole way down it. Then what you do is you video these people trying to climb the wall when they get electrocuted. I won't say electrocuted, when they get shocked and they fall off. You sell the video to America's Funniest Home Video. I want to say sell. You send in America's Funniest Home Videos, and whatever you win, you use that to balance the stupid freaking budget. Problem solved all the way around. Yeah, see, rescue boss thinks like me, like George Carlin. George Carlin did a whole bit on this stuff. You take the four corner states, and each state gets its own brand of felons. But I can't do that here because it's family friendly, and well, that whole bit is not family friendly at all. Highly hysterical, but not family friendly. I think I already made a movie about that rescue boss. It's called Escape from New York. Snake Pilskin. But another thing when it comes to fences, though, if you have livestock, is you want to make sure whatever livestock you have in it can't work its way around it. With our fence, our fence is about 5 foot tall. I mean, and with the electric line going around the top, the horses wouldn't even mess with it. But what was I going to say? It's like the mesh that we have. We could put anything from a small goat to a large horse in that pasture and never have to worry about it leaving. Hey, old man. But just something to think about. It was chicken coops. I did see Nina's video on chicken coop. That was a very good solution to the problem that she had that she talked about tonight. Another one that I've seen tonight, and they used some of the ideas that Nina used. They took the chicken wire, they ran the chicken wire I think I said about 12 inches into the ground. But it's built like a Quonset hut. But the bottom 18 inches of it all the way around is they put like plastic on all the way around. Hey, Pepper X. They put plastic on the bottom 18 inches all the way around just to keep the ground predators from being able to reach in. And once they get up above that 18 inches trying to reach down, they can't reach down and grab anything. So it kind of keeps all the predators, the small predators, off. The bigger ones you'll probably still have a little bit of an issue with, but it's better than nothing at all. Watch that on some show on Discovery, like Homestead Savers or something like that. It is a neat setup. Yeah, another thing I was going to try to hit on a little bit tonight was Prepper X was talk with the Predators was talking about like predator control. May sound a little indiscriminate, and you have to know where you set them at. But trapping is a very good predator deterrent. And before I go any further, if you guys ain't wondering why I don't have the big light on and this light off, is people Dad's trying to sleep next door and I have the big light on. It shines in his room. So, and see, the other thing with trapping is my dad used to be a trapper, so I won't say I have firsthand knowledge in it, but I've been around it a lot. Um, with the trapping though, is once you learn how to trap and what traps work with what animal, you can kind of start targeting with the trap. It's still not totally foolproof, but once you learn what some animals will come into and what some animals will stay away from, you can start saying, okay, I want to catch a fox in this and do a specific fox setup. What's up, Doobie? And with that is like my dad used to do whole sets. And what you need with a whole set, the way he did his was you need something to act like a backdrop, and you have to hold just off that backdrop. Then the trap sits between the backdrop. The hole's in between the trap and the backdrop. And in order for them to check out what's in the hole, they have to step into that trap. Oops. But the other thing is once you get the predator, how are you going to dispatch it? And what are you going to do with it after you dispatch it? And it all depends on what it is. Fox, coyote, the best way. Well, see, that's the whole thing is with this, like, I'm kind of coming out from a slightly different angle. You're controlling your predators from the get go instead of waiting until you get a predator. You're actually luring them in to get them trapped to actually keep them out, if that makes sense. Um, Kind of thinning them out before they become an issue. But especially after SHTF, those furs, those pellets could become barter items. Well, probably not the greatest in this day and age. Maybe not the greatest barter items, but they could become barter items. Um, Coyote and fox pelts, when made into a jacket, are warmer than what you expect. You can make a pretty warm jacket out of that stuff. Um, Another thing, coon. Coon is another good thing. Another good thing to trap, and they make traps for coon now that they're these little round things about this big around. What's up, Eds? They're about this big around, and you bury them in the ground, and you put the bait in the bottom of them, and the coon reaches in, tries to get the bait, and gets stuck in the trap that way. Pulls them. But the thing about those traps is you can set those things up all over the place, and they're small enough that the dog's not going to set them off. Anything other than maybe a possum, a coon, or a skunk, you're not going to really catch anything else in it. Maybe a bird of prey if you find one small enough, but they're pretty much specific traps. Another trap you may want to look at, depending on what you want to trap, is called a conibear. Now, conibear is what they call backbreaker. It's if you ever see them, it's like looks like two squares, and you take the one and you kind of twist it around inside the other one, and you set the trigger. When they walk through, they pretty much both spin 360 degrees against each other, and they break the animal's back and kills it instantly. They do mink like that, beaver like that, or some muskrats. They just something else to think about too is, especially when it comes to like predator control. A little proactive doesn't mean you have to be as reactive. Hey Nina, and happy birthday, Orby. Again. But it's just some things to think about. In fact, that's one thing I might want to get into a little bit later on in life, because the way I work, I can't really run a trap line right now because I can't check. I think you have to check your traps at least once every 12 hours, and I'm going like 14 hours a day. But that's something you may want to look into. But Prepper X, I have to say, that's a Prepper X backwards. Nina, you guys did a bang up job on the chat tonight. Very interesting. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, especially when they start talking about the trapping part of it. It says something I've been around before. Um, my dad used to run a pretty serious trap line. Um, Enough that every year this is before the first time that well, it's still tanked, but before the fur business tanked in the late '70s, early '80s, he used to go down to the fur sale, and he had a cap on the back of his pickup truck, and that thing would be filled front to back, side to side, top to bottom, packed. Sometimes we'd have to. There's a couple times I remember a couple years that he actually had to call his buddy in, and they have filled his pickup truck too. So I mean, it was a big thing. And see that's another thing. Old man just brought up a very good point, and I didn't even get to that yet. This wacky state has made all but mouse and rat traps illegal to use. Actually, depending on what you're trying to trap out, mouse and rat traps will work. Um, Rat traps, as funny as this may sound, and I do agree on this because it's. I heard a couple of different people on YouTube talk about it. Rat traps are good to have in a bug out bag. Um, you're supposed to have food in your bug out bag. I get it. But if you could supplement that food with something you can catch along the way, that extends your food out that much longer. Because they're using rat traps on squirrels. Let's face it, squirrel's nothing but a tree climbing rat with a fuzzy tail. So so those rat traps will work really good on a squirrel. And if that's all you have to use, that's all you have to use is just. But you have to control them pests too. One thing we found out with the really big rats, a fox trap works on them really nice too. Especially when you set about 6 or 7 of them outside their hole. They set one off and they get bounced around. They set the rest of them off. You come out and you see this rat pretty much laminated by steel. I'm like, okay. Hope it's dead. The only reason I'm typing that in there is I haven't seen the chat move for a bit. Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Okay. Cool. Cool. Okay. Hey, Backwoods, I got a question for you. You still up for going to the Army and Navy tomorrow? Actually, guess you're not eating a rat. You're going to eat a squirrel. Actually, I think I maybe something I might try. Oh, yes, they are. We had a female cat in the show born. Oh, no problem, Backwoods. Because if you want to go to Army Navy, I was going to go to the Army Navy with you tomorrow. If not, I was thinking about going to REI. There's a couple of things down there I want to check out. But I'll get back to that here in a second. What Chris Bett said here is female cats are the best monsters. In the Showborn, where my parents' trainers at, he had a cat, God rest her soul, named Cupcake. She was around for years. As long as Cupcake was in that barn, you did not see one mouse unless she was hunting it. Because every once in a while, that she'd chase the mouse out into the alleyway and just sit there and play with it before she killed it. But she also had a couple, two, three litters of kittens, and those kittens were every bit of a mouser as she was. I think Cupcake loved people, but I swear to God, that cat was 3/4 of the way feral. Because I mean, that cat didn't hunt like a house cat; it hunted like a barn cat. And see, I had the same thought. A bobcat would be nice. I'd like to have a bobcat. The only problem is if you have a dog, that bobcat could probably kill your dog. Um, I was thinking that till I seen one up close and personal. I mean, it wasn't in his face. We're up at Michael's camp, and we're driving down a dirt road in the dark, and we had one come out in front. Bobcats are a lot bigger than what you think they are. They're easily a 40 to 50 pound cat. Yeah, so not the greatest idea in the world. And getting back to what me and Backwoods were talking about is I'm thinking about going back to REI tomorrow. Yeah, because if Backwoods wanted to go to the Army Navy, I'd go to the Army Navy in a second. But I mean, if Purple has a honeydew list for him, I don't want him getting in trouble. So I get it. It's cool. So I was going to go to REI. Um, it is somewhat of a hippie. I won't say hippie, but it's more of like a yuppie place. I will say that. But the one thing I found out about REI, because I thought it was going to be a store full of overpriced stuff, there's stuff in there for just about every price point. Entry level to, I won't say entry level, good but inexpensive to expensive and really good, and everything in between. So there's stuff in there for everybody. You just have to look around, ask questions. And the other thing I find about the REI that I go to anyway is if you talk about something and say like, well, this is the system I have, because they've been every time I go in there, they try to sell me a pack. They try to sell me a pack. I'm like, I don't need a pack. I have my own system. I like using the Molly system. As soon as they say I like using the Molly system, it's like, we understand. That's cool. Then I found out that nope. Usually all that stuff's over by the time I get home, rescue boss. See, if she had it, if she had the bobcat as a cub from like almost day one, you could probably domesticate it. Oh Zeus. Hang on, folks. Dog's getting sick on me. Give me a second. It's okay. It's okay, buddy. It's all right. I told you don't need it. Okay, I'm back. Night, Nina. But yeah, Zeus ate a little bit too much, so you know how that goes. But taken care of, he's in good shape. So thank you, Backwoods. But yeah, he does that from time to time. He's okay. If we eat too much, then it's like, I wonder why I don't feel good. I'm like, well, there you go, dog. So I knew. Actually, I think you're right, Pub. Pub. That not one I could tackle because I don't have kids, so I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. But hey, Diana. Oh, not too bad. About yourself? Um, but Pub makes a good point here. Could be a good topic. Somebody. How do you explain all this to your kids? And I mean, I think FLP would do a good job with that. Nina could probably do a good job with that as well. Yeah, with me though, yeah, not so much. The closest thing I have to a kid is Zeus over here. He just looks at me like, "No, what are we doing next, boss?" Oh no, yeah. When changing the litter box might require a cattle prod, a riot shield, and a helmet. Nah, no, 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 no. Oh, three cheese chili dogs? No. Or three chili cheese dogs? No, we wouldn't be in here. We wouldn't be having a live stream. He'd just be outside all night. Yeah, see that's a different that's a different yeah the difference Gibson. 15 years old, he should be able to have a good idea of what's going on. Now, how do you start introducing it to them when they're like 5 or 6? That's going to be a different thing all the way around. Um, Prepping, how things could go south real quick, everything like in the whole prepping thing, SHTF, um, what to do, how to do it, how to handle things, yada 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 on down the line. That's how I took it anyway. But I and see back in the day, like mid from like the late, I'd say late 1700s to the early 1900s. That's the way it was. Except back then, it wasn't really called prepping. It was like 19 farming. Back then, the farmers back then, their first order of business is to grow enough to get their family through the year. How you doing, Smith and Wesson? Next order of business is whatever extra they have, they would sell off to make money to get either equipment, more animals, better seed stock, pretty much. But everybody had a job. The kids had a job, the wife had a job, the old folks had a job. So there's like three, two to sometimes four generations on a farm working at the same time. I mean, I know like when we had our horses here, I mean, it's not a farm per se, but we all had our jobs. Um, the folks would feed them in the morning. When I came home from school, I'd take care of them at night. Plus the horses that I had, because there's like a point in time I had 2 or 3 horses back there. When I come home from school, before I did my homework, I would go out, I'd ride each horse, do the stalls, make sure they're all cool, watered, fed, hayed, double check the locks, make sure the barn was set up, and I had the person set up for the next morning. All the all the feed and everything. The only thing I had to do is walk out, dump feed, dump hay, fill water buckets, and go. So I mean, if anybody who ever grew up on a farm or grew up around a farm, See, yeah, Christy knows what I'm talking about. I mean, that's what you did. Um, you have family that needs a place to stay, and we've done that here a couple of times. My aunt was in between homes. Now she lives in New Jersey, but she's in between homes, and for like a week she needed someplace to stay, so she stayed here. Then went back to New Jersey. Um, the movers were able to pick her stuff up and get it out of her house, but she couldn't get in the other house for a week, so the movers stored it for her. Oh, that's okay, Diana. Thanks for coming. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So I mean, like the old farming life, and that's another thing to look at. Um, like for SHTF, if you have a homestead or like an old farm like that, it's like let's say your homestead is an old farm, um, you may want to look into to keep that farm going. You may want to look into some older implements, maybe even horse-drawn implements, and or and a older, I mean an older tractor. We're talking like about pre 1971 and older, maybe even pre 65 to get away from anything electronic. Because if you get the horse-drawn implements, you can take those horse-drawn implements and adapt them to work on that older tractor really easily. Um, I've seen uh, both what I call brush hogs and sickle bar mowers that didn't run off the PTO. They were wheel driven. Pretty much, Bob. But I mean, it's once you come, as funny as this may sound, once you mess around with the implement, the wheel driven implement, you'll figure it out pretty quick because they are a lot simpler than the PTO ones. I mean, you only really have one speed to deal with instead of trying to get that PTO just right, or anything belt driven with a hit and miss engine. That's another one. That's actually one or I want to get like one or two of those. Um, Believe it or not, for bug out. I won't say for bug out, but for SHTF because I'd like to get those and a couple stationary things that I could use around here that I can run off that hit and miss engine. A little bit about that, a little bit about just predators in general, a little bit about trapping. So that's pretty much a very broad spectrum there, Smith and Wesson. Yeah, yeah, sickle bar. Yeah, the sickle bar mowers are kind of interesting. I know we're around here. I know there's about five of them sitting, all wheel driven, and could be horse drawn if need be. But that oh, I hear you. That's the other thing though is if you get them in a bind, they'll snap pretty darn quick. Um, the other thing is if you have animals and you got that old tractor, a wheel driven manure spreader. And the reason I keep on bringing up wheel driven is you don't need the PTO to run it. There's the manure spreader has two gears on it. One puts it in and out of gear, and the other one engages the drive that pushes the manure to the back once you get it in gear. But and the reason I bring that up is, especially if an old tractor, or if you have a couple like a couple draft horses that can pull this thing around, it's going to make life easier for you, a lot easier. because you can take a manure sprayer, go out, do your garden. Another thing you may want to look at, if you might want to look at, once I get done coughing my head off here, is how many people actually thought about maybe, or if you already have one, maintaining an orchard. Because a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, having a garden too, but if you can maintain an orchard with that as well, that's another good. The food's good, number one. Number two, fruits are another awesome barter item. Plus, it makes good alcohol. Oh, snow. I'd rather have snow than rain. I'll be honest with you. I'd rather have snow than rain. With the job I have, well, see, there you go. And there's apples. Cider's good. Hard cider's even better. But you can make a lot of things out of those apples. Applesauce, as I said, the cider, um, applesauce, apple butter, and just the apples in general for eating, depending on what type of apple you got. Some apples are better for baking. Some apples are better for eating. Some are better for making applesauce. Some are better for making cider. So you have to figure out what kind of apple you got, and there are many different varieties of apples too. So once you figure that out and figure out what the best use is for them, you're good to go. Yeah, dried apples is another one. Apple jelly and apple pie. There you go. Oh, there you go. Apple wine isn't too bad. I still prefer hard cider myself. Where we used to keep our horses at years ago before we built our barn, old farmer by the name of Rich, and he made hard cider. And he'd only have like a little bit every year. They kept it in a cask, and every year he'd add a little bit more sugar, a little bit more cider, drop a little bit more yeast in it. He did that for years. That stuff went down smooth, but would knock you out faster than shine. I'll tell you that much right now. That stuff was seriously hard, but oh man, was it good. And see, that's the thing about fruit trees. If you want to do fruit trees and you have a place to put them, I would get them now because if you can get them to start bearing fruit while times are good, and if you can maintain them after times are bad, you got a definite good food source there. Which is another thing. If you have fruit trees, um, what during this time, like let's say you do have like a small orchard, you might want to look into letting somebody put a hive on it, like a honeybee hive. That's how a lot of farmers, actually around the United States, especially here in Pennsylvania, the ones that have orchards here in Pennsylvania, if the farmer doesn't keep bees, they'll have a beekeeper come in and set hives. I think the one I've seen, I think they set up two hives for every 3 rows of trees. And I tell you what, I mean, that's one of the best orchards in the area because the bees may get almost everything pollinated. So, see, I'm not allergic to them, but I'm allergic to wasps. So, oh, there you go. See, I've never had June berries. Might have to try them. And see, and talking about berries, I'm waiting for the blackberry bushes to come back in. We had a bunch of blackberry bushes back on the gas line, and they're starting to bear good fruit. But last year, before the fruit really started coming in, they came and they mowed the gas line, and it usually takes about 2 or 3 years for bushes to reestablish themselves. Now, I do have, talking about cherry trees, I got cherry trees back behind the house. A couple of them are sweet cherries. I think we have a couple black cherries back there. The problem is they're orchard trees. In order to get to the cherries, you got to be able to get about a good 60, 70 feet in the air just to get to the cherries. I don't see that happening. Birds kind of like the June berries just as much as you do. Um, the other thing that we have that we're actually getting ready to cut down because it hasn't really been bearing that good of fruit is we have mulberries. Never really tried them. They just kind of always look a little odd to me. I'm just like, eh. But I will say this about the mulberries. So when we do have a good mulberry crop, and since we don't eat them, they ferment and they fall off the tree. Is watching the drunk squirrels and drunk rabbits get in fights over them because it's kind of funny watching a squirrel kind of trying to go at a rabbit, and the more he tries to hop, the more sideways he goes. It's like, come back here. See, I heard that, Jimmy. I did hear that about the blackberries down south. Is they're kind of like on these vine things, and here, like in Colorado, here in PA, they they're in the bush. And see, what we'll do is when they come back up, I mean, there's some going across the top of our property, but they've never really produced that good. The ones back on the gas line used to produce really good, but I like to get a couple, two or three of them, if not more. Try to relocate them and actually try to cultivate them to actually see if I can make them produce a little bit more. Yeah, we don't have any olives around here. Hey, Pub. No, we used to have sassafras around here. That would all the sassafras used to go in our pasture. And when we cleaned the pasture up, we kind of cut it all out and got rid of it all. So really, you have berry eating snakes down there, or they hang out in the berries because that's where the birds go, and they can get a quick bird that way. Well, I can see why they hang out down there, especially during the summer. It, those blackberry bushes get thick and they have good shade because we find snakes underneath the ones up here too. And usually we'll find them underneath the blackberry bush on a really hot day because they're trying to get in the shade, trying to regulate body temperature. Oh, that's cool, Smith and Wesson. Enjoy. Now we don't have any rattlesnakes around here. The only thing we have around here that's poisonous, right around where I live, is copperheads. Now you go up in the mountains though, we have both diamondback and timber rattlers. It'd be the eastern diamondback and the timber rattler, and oh, that can get quite interesting. Let's see, I'm not too keen on the copperheads. If it's a non-venomous snake, though, 9 times out of 10, I'll actually relocate it. I know it sounds funny. I'll relocate it. In fact, when we had the horses in the barn, if I got a snake in a barn, I'd catch it live and I'd relocate it someplace else on the property, but still try to keep. I would far enough away from the barn. I wouldn't go back to the barn, but it's still close enough to the barn to control the pest population. Well, there you go. Blackberry cobbler. That's some good stuff there. Oh, we've had plenty of blackberry cobbler. Another thing that we used to have here that we don't anymore is we used to have elderberries. Hey, PA Hillbilly. Yeah, so as I said, depending on the snake that I find on a property, I mean, if it's not, which most of them I run into just back in the woods. I don't even run into anything in the barn anymore. But whatever I run into in the woods, like right close to the barn, I leave alone now. I'm just like, oh, if you ain't poisonous, I'm gonna rock on with your bad self. In fact, I got a snake that lives in our woodpile, and I actually was gonna run it out of the woodpile. Then I started thinking, I'm like, well, either I let the snake stay in the woodpile because he's kind of sticks around the ball, but he can get throughout the whole woodpile. That keeps the chipmunks and the squirrels out of my woodpile and keeps their poop out of my woodpile and from messing up my wood. So he can stay in the woodpile all he wants because he keeps the varmints out of it. Oh, not doing too bad, PA Hillbilly. How about yourself? Spiders, on the other hand, I am not. Meh. Again, outside, I'll just leave a spider to whatever the spider's doing. As soon as the spider comes in the house, it's dead. It's dead. Not big on spiders. Never have been. Not afraid of them, just not big on them. Oh yeah, the snakes around here don't do anything for the ants. Nothing. Ants don't pay attention to snakes. Snakes pay no attention to the ants. Where you at, PA Hillbilly? I should say, where at in Pennsylvania? Is he? Well, as I said, outside, even in the barn, no problem. In the house, nope. Nope, 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 nope. I just had Oh, okay. Because I'm in Pennsylvania myself. I live over in Beaver County in southwest Pennsylvania, and we just have cold weather and wind. No real snow yet. See, I had a couple people. I knew a couple people that gotten bit by spiders, and some of the stuff that they had to go through. Like one of the spiders, they think was a brown recluse, and they started getting the gangrene. And if you've seen what they had to do to take care of that gangrene, I do not want to go through that. Oh, okay, 30 miles south of Erie. You're not really you're not really that far from me then, because I live about 30 miles south of Newcastle, and to get to about where you're at, you're what about Meadville, maybe Meadville area, maybe a little bit north of Meadville. That's not that's not too bad. Okay. Yeah, because it doesn't take me nothing to get out to 79, and once I hit 79, they're gone. It takes about I think about 2 hours to get to Erie from here, but that's getting 79, getting up 79, and getting where we need to go to in Erie. So Sharpsville. Oh, okay. I keep see. I get Sharpsville and Sharpsburg mixed up. I don't know why. I just do. And the only reason I say that is you said Sharpsville. Like I actually deliver in Sharpsburg. Yeah, but Ron Sharon isn't that far from me either. In fact, it's definitely not far from where I work. I mean, I could give you Newcastle up into Sharon in probably about 15 20 minutes. I work in Newcastle. I work right off of 422 before it turns into business 422. So if business goes this way, regular when business goes this way, regular 422 goes off this way, and I get regular 422 gone. You run a 422 right over 376, run 376 straight up toward 80. You're there that fast. Well, gee, thanks, Cindy. I live what way west of Route 81. Thanks. Yeah. I'm just messing with you. Well, they're working on the wall right now, so it's what it is there's like a couple places in contention that people are just like, ah. Okay, see, I haven't been to New Wilmington. It's been a long time. I was in New Wilmington a couple times for a couple auctions, like antique auctions. But we're hitting the top of the hour here, so kind of go through some things here. Tomorrow night, it's kind of up in the air what anybody's going to do. I might do something, somebody else may do something, so who knows. Right now, the sit reps are kind of on a hiatus. If something really important happens, then he may have one, but he might have one any day during the week, depending on what's going on. So Sunday is kind of like up in the air right now too. Um, The next thing is Monday night. Backwoods has his chat at 8 o'clock on his channel, and I think he said he's going to have Spicy on this Monday, so that's going to be a fun time. Tuesday night is my live stream right here, 8 o'clock Eastern, is going to be Nina on rural readiness. Always some good information. The last couple, two, three, actually probably about the last month and a half, she's always been cooking something, showing you how to cook something. So it's interesting to watch. Um, then at 8:30 Central Louisiana time, 9 o'clock, 9:30 Eastern, sorry, 8:30 Central Louisiana time, 9:30 Eastern is going to be the Honey Badger chat on X Nation. That's always a good time. And Thursday, kind of hit and miss at 6 o'clock Central Louisiana time, 7 o'clock Eastern is Spicy. That's Nina's son on Backwoods Raised. Uh, check him out. He's always good. Check out Mum Slayer. She has a great channel. And with that, I think we're going to call it the night here. So I thank you all for coming. See ya. Oops.